So we're almost at the halfway point in the NFL season, and there's 2 undefeated teams left. One of them we expected, Kansas City Chiefs, reigning Super Bowl champions. And on the NFC, we got an outlier, someone who nobody expected to be undefeated. And that team is the Minnesota Vikings. Now, today's video is not going to be solely on the Vikings. They've been doing amazing. And you may think, hey, let's talk about Sam Darnold. Let's talk about the best receiver in the league. Let's talk about their amazing head coach. But we're not going to do that today. We're going to be talking about this guy right here. Meet Andrew Van Ginkel. And most likely you guys probably don't know who this guy is. But I promise you, by the end of this video, you're going to know who the hell Andrew Van Ginkel is. And you're going to see why he's one of the most underrated players, not only on this Vikings defense, but in the NFL. So sit back, relax, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit that like button. It helps out a bunch for the channel. We greatly appreciate it. Let's get into the video. Andrew Van Ginkel is a 6'4", 242-pound linebacker out of Wisconsin. He was drafted in the 5th round by the Miami Dolphins. But honestly, that's not all that important. What's important is that the head coach for the Miami Dolphins at that time was Brian Flores. Brian Flores, a defensive coordinator that was on the New England Patriots, finally got a head coaching job for the Miami Dolphins. And Flores and the GM, Chris Greer, seen something on the tape of Andrew Van Ginkel. So they drafted him. In 2019, the Dolphins weren't all that good. They ended up going 5-11. And Andrew Van Ginkel didn't really play all that much. He played in 6 games and he only started 1. He only had 1 sack. But in 2020, the Dolphins really did turn it around. They went 10-6. And Andrew Van Ginkel started 11 games this year. He had 5.5 sacks, including a fumble recovery touchdown. The next year, he would get 4 sacks, but he started in a lot more games. He started 14 games this season. But after the 2021 season, the Dolphins made a huge change, and they fired Brian Flores, and they hired Mike McDaniel. They hired a whole new coaching staff. And what did that mean for Andrew Van Ginkel? It meant a coaching staff who didn't draft this guy, had no obligation to play this guy, and all around just wasn't their guy. And it's shown. He was just a forgotten about player. And you can really tell Miami wasn't all that confident in him. They ended up trading a 1st-round pick for an edge rusher in Bradley Chubb, and then they drafted Jalen Phillips in the 1st round. So he was just an afterthought. But last year, you want to talk about a blessing in disguise? The Dolphins end up losing Jalen Phillips for the whole season last year. So who is next to step up? Andrew Van Ginkel. And he didn't disappoint. He ended up getting a career-high 6 sacks, 8 passes deflected, and an interception. And this was only starting in 11 games. That performance ended up earning him a 2-year contract with the Minnesota Vikings. And what do you know? Who did the Vikings hire for the defensive coordinator job this year? Brian Flores. The duo was finally reunited. The man from the beginning who saw something in Andrew Van Ginkel. And honestly, it was a move that just got swept under the rug. Nobody really talked about it. They're like, hey, Brian Flores is signing one of his guys that he knew in Miami. But I'm telling you right now, he is not just a guy. He's a hell of a player. And he's kind of like the Swiss Army knife for Brian Flores and this Minnesota Vikings defense. Now look, before we get any further into the video, I just want to make it clear. I'm not trying to say that Andrew Van Ginkel is the best player in the league. I'm not trying to say he's Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, TJ Watt, none of that. But the Vikings are a really good team this year. And I know everyone wants to talk about the offense, but I really do think their defense is their bread and butter. And when you have a great defense, yes, you have superstars in certain roles, but I feel like every elite defense, and specifically Super Bowl winning defenses, they have a guy like Andrew Van Ginkel, where he just makes play after play after play, and just a flat out game changer. And look, obviously, he's not physically imposing. He's not the strongest guy. He's not the fastest guy. But I think one of the reasons why that Brian Flores loves this dude is his football IQ. He has a great feel for the game. He really does look natural out there. Usually I like to use this term for running backs, where a guy just looks natural at his position. They look like a natural runner, where nothing looks awkward to them. That's how Andrew Van Ginkel is on defense. He just looks like a natural at his position, whether that's being in coverage or rushing the passer. And I want to show you guys some examples on what I'm talking about here. Let's go to week 1 against the Giants. The Vikings, and specifically Brian Flores, loves to disguise their looks. So they got 6 guys on the line of scrimmage. You don't know who's rushing the passer and who's going to be out in coverage. Van Ginkel is going to be rushing the passer. But as we let the play run, Van Ginkel is going to rush the passer, and Van Ginkel just naturally snags this ball out of the air as Daniel Jones is trying to throw a screen to Wan'Dale Robinson. And it's just an easy touchdown to the end zone. I mean, it looks so natural to him. It was a clean catch. Once Daniel Jones releases this ball, his head goes up and he snags the ball out of the air. And these are just game-changing plays for the Vikings. All right, let's go to London. Once again, the Vikings have this exotic look at the line of scrimmage. The Vikings know that the Jets love to run these short route combinations. This time they send Van Ginkel into coverage. As the ball snapped, Andrew Van Ginkel is going to act like he's blitzing the passer, but then he's going to bail out and be in coverage. And what do you know? He gets Aaron Rodgers, the future Hall of Famer, pick 6 to the house. I mean, shit, he even looks natural as a runner with the ball in his hands. As you can see from the other angle, Aaron Rodgers didn't even see him. And it's crazy because he wasn't just doing this on the Vikings. He did this a couple of times on the Miami Dolphins. So he's been showing that he can do stuff like this. And just all around, he's just a solid player, bro. He doesn't have the best pass rushing moves, but shit, it ain't bad. I see him utilize the spin move at times. Sometimes he can bend the edge and show a little bit of speed. He has just enough to get the job done. And he obviously has the great ability to be in coverage for how good he is as an athlete. Like I said, Van Ginkel is not a Hall of Fame type guy. He's probably not even the best player on this defense. But when teams find guys like this, it takes their defense to a whole nother level, who just makes these game-changing plays. Because you're over here trying to worry about Jonathan Greenyard or Ivan Pace or Harrison Smith, and then you completely forget about this guy. And he's just out here making game-changing plays, pick sixes and forced fumbles. It's so beneficial. And who knows, maybe by the time that you guys are watching this video, the Vikings probably have lost the game by now. But I do think they're a true contender in the NFC. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go on a playoff run. And I'm telling you right now, Andrew Van Ginkel is going to make a play in the playoffs. And he's going to be the turning point for the Vikings. And like I said, Super Bowl defenses always wind up having a guy kind of like this, where they get put in the best situation possible to utilize what they do good and make them into this like ultimate role player and a little bit better than what he is, that once he winds up leaving the team and he has to be the guy, he kind of struggles. I can remember a couple like Pernell McPhee for the Ravens. He made a bunch of plays for the Ravens on that Super Bowl run. He ended up going on another team, earning a big contract. Really wasn't the same guy. I can remember back with those Seahawk teams, a guy like Chris Clemens, who just seemed like he was such an impactful player for them. And he was a great role player, and you never really heard from him after his time with Seattle. So I don't know what the future holds for Andrew Van Ginkel as far as after this season goes, but as long as he stays healthy, this guy is going to make plays for the Vikings. So the next time you see number 43 make a big play on the field, you won't be screaming at your TV saying, "Who the hell is that guy?" Because you'll know his name is Andrew Van Ginkel. and he's super underrated. But as always, what do you guys think of Andrew Van Ginkel? Hey, what do you guys think of the Minnesota Vikings? You think they're going to make a run in the playoffs all the way to the Super Bowl? Let us know down in the comment section below. And if you guys love NFL content just like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And while you guys are at it, hit the like button. It helps out just as much. We appreciate you guys rocking with us, and we'll see you guys in the next video. I'm out. Peace.